How do you debate a Christian?
I didn't know that the Bible said that. Let me look into it. I will see you at the end of this video.
You take her to familiar ground, the Bible? For this video, we'll be looking at the Old Testament. Go to the book of Joshua. Show her that the Bible is from ancient people who lived in foreign lands. They thought the same way that everyone else did.
Do tell.
American evangelical Christians comprise only about 5% of all of the Christians living in the world today. Nonetheless, when you want to know how to debate a Christian, you probably are interested only in that 5%. Many of these Christians believe that God created the universe in 6 days about 6,000 years ago. Don't worry about it. If their authority is the Bible, it's game over. This belief is based on a strange way of understanding the creation stories in Genesis. As you see, this understanding is mostly in the United States. Rather than assuming that the creation stories are revealing aspects of God using the culture of the day, these Christians believe that God had American Christians in mind, and they assume that the creation stories are revealing aspects of the material world. I say that it is strange, as if I never believed it myself. I used to believe it. Or, at least, I tried to believe it. In the end, I have to believe that the Bible is a revelation of God Himself. If the first 2 chapters are quote-unquote temple texts, no one knows anything. In the 1800s, people came up with the JEDP hypothesis to decide who wrote the Bible. It's old and complicated. So just leave it alone. But let's move on. After all, even if someone believes that the Bible teaches human evolution, but science found that it was not true, there would be no way to persuade them that evolution was wrong. Before you start preparing, order a copy of 5 Views on Biblical Inerrancy by R. Albert Mohler Jr., Peter Enns, Michael F. Bird, Kevin J. Van Hooser, and John R. Frank. The first author takes the typical American evangelical Christian position. Before we start, consider a strange fact. There are few people who have actually read the Bible. A few years ago, I conducted an experiment. I went to an atheist blog and I wrote that the Bible is inerrant. At the least, I expected examples of mistakes in the Bible. Instead, I got responses like, "You are delusional." Let me expand the comment. The writer could have said, "I have never read the Bible, but I heard that it has contradictions. I know what the word inerrant means. It means without error. They tell me that the Bible has errors. Therefore, the Bible is not inerrant. QED, you are a delusional nut job." After reading 5 Views on Biblical Inerrancy, you will know that the very words, biblical inerrancy, are not understood in the same way everywhere. Read The Lost World of Genesis 1, The Lost World of Adam and Eve, and The Lost World of the Israelite Conquest. The last 3 books were written by John H. Walton. The very last book was a collaboration with his son. Also, you must read through the Bible and take copious notes. Is the Bible inerrant? Some people think that it is time to retire the word inerrant altogether. Keep that in the back of your mind. The word carries too much baggage. You and your opponent have your own prior commitments. Often, there is prior commitment to our modern categories. Usually, you and the Christian share the same categories. If you read the first chapters of Genesis, of course, the creation narratives in Genesis are different and contradictory. But if the narratives tell us about the omnipotent nature and the caring nature of God, that makes sense of the narratives. However, you have switched out the category of history. That was easy. Let's make it harder.
Is a Christian really going to say that the ancient Jews cared more about the universe than they cared about God? If you know anything about JEPD theory, you will notice that this approach almost challenges it.
However, your interlocutor might say that the Bible starts out as a science textbook. God was not interested in revealing Himself to the ancient Jews. No, God was thinking about all of the creation museums in the 21st century. Are you kidding me? This is the Merneptah stele. It says, "Israel is wasted, her seed is no more." Of course, that is not true. But, now, listen to this.
Deuteronomy 20, verses 16 through 18. But in the cities of these peoples that the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance, you shall save alive nothing that breathes, but you shall devote them to complete destruction, the Hittites and the Amorites, the Canaanites and the Perizzites, the Hivites and the Jebusites, as the Lord your God has commanded, that they may not teach you to do according to all their abominable practices that they have done for their gods. And so you sin against the Lord your God. ESV.
Sounds like the Merneptah stele. Now listen to this.
Joshua 10:40. So Joshua struck the whole land, the hill country, and the Negeb, and the lowland and the slopes, and all their kings. He left none remaining, but devoted to destruction all that took a breath, just as the Lord God of Israel commanded.
Now, listen to this.
Joshua 17:13. Now when the people of Israel grew strong, they put the Canaanites to forced labor, but did not utterly drive them out.
So it looks like we are just eavesdropping on ancient people. It appears that this last verse is written in a straightforward way, just as the Mernep to Steel Records hyperbole. The Jews are still with us. It is not true that Israel was utterly slaughtered. Similarly, it looks like there was never a slaughter of the Canaanites. After all, leave a comment.